my dear class 10 student, welcome to your YouTube channel, that is Diksha Vedantu. As you can see on the board, the chapter we are going to deal today is Nationalism in India, and this is a one-shot explanation video. By this video we will be completing whole chapter including the map work too. So stay connected till the end because this chapter is very important as it has a huge weightage in your class 10th examination, in your board examination. You know that along with 2 marker for map work, there is subjective questions from this chapter that has a high weightage, and it itself make this chapter very important. We are very aware that because this is about India, it must be interesting for our studies too. So I just want you to do one thing: subscribe the YouTube channel, that is Diksha Vedantu, because we have completed many chapters up till now, either it be power sharing, federalism from civics, development from economics, resource and development from geography, and nationalism in Europe from history. This will be the next chapter in sequence, that is nationalism in India. You know what? Everything in this YouTube channel is taught in English so that you can write your exams easily, because it is very helpful whenever you are writing in that language and studying in that language only. This YouTube channel is the result of 27 years of experience of Diksha Vedantu, which we are indulging with multiple YouTube channels, but this one is brand new for my dear class 10 students. So my dear class 10 students, just hit the subscribe button so that you should be notified with every important video that will be helpful for your class 10th journey. Moving ahead with the chapter, this chapter starting is from First World War, okay? But if we start suddenly from First World War, I know that every student here might not be aware of what happened in the past, okay? So let us take a closer look to the past events, then we will move further. Just pay attention here, we will be studying it from 1600. Now what happened? Just have a closer look that when you were in class 6th, okay? When you were in class 6th, you studied ancient history. Then when you were in class 7th, you moved to modern history. And then in class 8, it was modern history, okay? The time when we say that it is modern history, it is considered as it was the arrival of Europeans, okay? It was the arrival of Europeans. We know that who was the first European to reach India, okay? I want it in the comment section that who was the first European and from which country does he belongs to that reached India. After that, the ways to reach India increased by other Europeans as well. Many people started reaching India in the interest of trade because they wanted to do trade with India, because India at that time had huge resources, okay? Coming back to the thing, by 1600 we know that East India Company came to India, okay? East India Company was formed and this was by Britishers. This was by Britishers. Initially, the Britishers came India merely for the interest of trade, okay? Merely for the interest of trade. But later on, what they have done, they have seen the political weakness of India and started conquering the territories of India, started annexing the territories of India, and this started from the Battle of Plassey, okay? This started from the Battle of Plassey from 1757. Pay attention, from 1757 to 1857, this 100 years, okay? In this 100 years, the East India Company, what East India Company did, annexed the major territories of India, okay? Now, but what happened? Indians also retaliated back in 1857 with the revolt that is popularly known as Revolt of 1857. I am pretty sure you might be reminding all this because we have studied everything in class 8. We had a separate chapter for Revolt of 1857 in class 8, okay? So as a result of this revolt of 1857, the powers were transferred from East India Company to British Crown. Now it transferred from British British East India Company to the British Crown, and now India was known as British India. This is how they captured us. This is how we became the colony of Britishers. Okay, now it was referred as British India. But the major reason for the failure of revolt of 1857 was single, that we didn't had any political organization that organized this revolt. Later on, individuals just analyzed it and got to know that we need to form a political organization to represent the interest of the people. Okay, initially there were many organization forms, but they were local in nature. For an example, Pune Sarvajanik Sabha, a political party belonging to Maharashtra. Okay, Bengal Sabha belonging to Bengal. But later on, one party formed, that was in the year 1885. Okay, that is in the year 1885, that is popularly known as Indian National Congress. Got my point? Indian National Congress. And this Indian National Congress led many movements in India. Okay, led many movements in India, or basically we can say that it led the freedom struggle in India. Okay, and get India independent. In that struggle, Indian National Congress has a major role. So in 1885, this party was formed, which was all India in nature. You can see that how after this formation of a single party, the people are getting united. Okay, the people are getting what? United, and that united feeling will lead to nationalism. This will lead to nationalism. So basically, I just wanted to make you clear that how did the feeling of nationalism grew in India and how it was the journey. Other than that, cut to the chapter of nationalism in Europe. Ma'am, why? Because I want to tell you that we have seen that there were certain revolutions in Europe, okay, that led to the formation of nations. And nations were only formed because the feeling of nationalism grew there. Okay, connecting the points, the feeling of nationalism grew there. But at the end of that chapter in nationalism in Europe, we have seen that this feeling of nationalism led to imperialism. Okay, led to imperialism, which further led to First World War. Got my point? Do you know that when countries want to become imperial, they want to be powerful in the world, and this eventually leads to colonialism. Okay, that means, what does it means? When a powerful nation, pay attention, when a powerful nation subjugate a weak nation. Okay, now India was the colony of East India. India was the colony of British Empire, and within that colonialism phase, we developed the feeling of nationalism in India. This 2 minutes of brief introduction will help you throughout the lecture. So don't think that we are studying something which is not in NCERT. Everything is connected, my dear students. Okay. So the chapter we are going to begin is from the First World War. Okay. Imperialism led to First World War. You know that. And in that First World War, two parties were involved. One was Central Power and the other was Allied Power. Okay, one group was Central Powers and the other was Allied Power. And Britain, whom we were the colony, was the part of that Allied Powers, Whenever a nation is involved in World War I, a great war for the world, right? They definitely wants more and more money to spend in defense expenditure. They want more army. Okay, though India was not directly involved in First World War, but Britishers made Indians involved indirectly because they said that India is British India and they need to be the part of First World War. Get my point? So, what was the impact of First World War on India's freedom struggle? This is what the first topic we are going to start. And do you know, this first topic is itself an important 5 marker for our exam. Okay, important 5 marker, pay attention. Now, whenever there is war in the world, it will definitely create a new economic and political situation. The same was happening in India. It created the new economic and political situation in India. When defense expenditure increased, pay attention, when defense expenditure of British Empire increased, what they did, they wanted to drain the money from India. Okay, they wanted the money from their colonies and India is one of them. For doing such thing, they increased taxes because they were fighting the war on the basis of loans, financed by loans. So as they need to repay that loans, they increased the taxes, they increased the custom duties and even introduced a new type of tax, that is income tax in India. Okay, so they increased a new type of tax, that is income tax in India. During that time when money is taken from an economy, okay, and there is reduction in money, the prices increases. Similarly, during the time of war, the prices increases. It was double between 1913 to 1918. Here I am talking about the prices of commodities, basic commodities in the market, which affected the common people. And yes, this affected the lives of common people. It will be definite, particularly the poor people. The third thing what they have done, they recruited villagers. They forcefully recruited villagers to be the part of their soldiers. Okay, they wanted soldiers to be the part of this war, and this is considered to be as forced recruitment. What they have done, like they went to villages, and wherever they have seen the people who are strong, like the villages of Punjab, Haryana, Uttarakhand, etc. They went there, and if they were not accepting their offer to join the army, they were considered that they are not the people of village. Okay, they asked them to leave the villages, and many more bad things they have done just to forcefully recruit the people in the army. More things are like that. Now what happened now, whenever we are in poverty, okay, whenever we are in poverty state, the problem increases. I don't know how it is, but it increases. Similarly, we were in the situation of problems, and problems were getting added on one by one. In this year 1918 to 1919 and 1920 to 1921, this was the year where many crops failed in India. Okay, crop failure is because the British Empire, which is ruling India right now, is not focusing on our agriculture, irrigation facilities. Rather, they have diverted their interest to the war. Okay, definitely it will affect the economy. Crop failure led to hunger because it was shortage of food in the market. Whenever there is shortage of commodities, there will be increase in the prices. Now people do not have money. They will unable to buy it. It will lead to what? It will lead to famine. This is the situation what was happening. One more thing came now. One more thing, that was influenza epidemic, like we have seen COVID recently. Similarly, influenza epidemic, because of which 12 to 13 million people perished. Their lives were perished just because of famine and epidemic. Did you get my point? Okay, we are revising it once again. Question will be, what is the impact of First World War on freedom struggle of India? Just 5 points and you will get this answer, my dear students. Just take your pen, write the keywords what I am going to tell you, so that you can revise this answer in future. So impact number one was increase in defense expenditure. Okay, due to that they increased the taxes, custom duties and introduced new income tax. Got my point? Second one, the prices doubled between the time of 1913 to 1918, which added economic hardship to the common people of India. Third one was villagers were asked for forced recruitment. Next is crop failure, and the last is influenza epidemic. So you just need to understand defense expenditure, price double, forced recruitment, influenza, and one more thing, that is crop failure. 5 points, 5 marks. Moving further. Okay, now see, we have the entry of a hero in the picture now. that is Mahatma Gandhi. Look, Mahatma Gandhi up till now was not in India. I am talking about 1914. Okay, the events before 1914, there was Swadeshi movement and many more what we have read in class 8. Moving further, then where was he? Talking about him, his earlier time somewhere. See, look, he was born on 2nd of October in 1869, sorry, it is 1869 at Porbandar, Gujarat. Later, after some years for studies, he moved in 1888 to London, okay, for the study of law, and he wanted to become barrister. When his studies was completed, he moved to South Africa. Okay, where he moved? He moved to South Africa in the year 1893. Okay, in the year 1893. Now, if you remember that chapter from class 9th where we talk about racial discrimination. Which discrimination? Racial discrimination in South Africa that was done by Europeans there, because South Africa was also the colony of European Empire. And Gandhiji, when he went there, he basically went for a case. Like one Indian merchant was there, he called Gandhiji to solve that case. When he went there, he faced racial discrimination because he was also of the Indian skill. Okay, and Europeans considered that color as inferior and them as superior. So he fought against them. But the way he had fought in South Africa was different and introduced a new concept to the world, that is Satyagraha. Okay, it introduced a new concept to the world, that is Satyagraha, and here we will be talking about what is Satyagraha. You can understand that it is Satya plus Agraha. Satya plus Agraha. In English it means that based on truth. Okay, it is not only truth but based on truth and non-violence. He did the same. He used the Satyagraha in South Africa, formed a congress over there, that is Indian African Natal Congress, sorry, and then returned to India in January 1915. Now pay attention, this month is very important because if we want to get full marks, we need to pay attention on everything because MCQs can be asked. Okay, so he moved to India. He came to India January 1915. Okay, you know that during this time World War I was going on and we were facing several economic hardships. Okay, when he came India, everyone knew that Mahatma Gandhi was fighting against the Europeans in South Africa. So everyone was aware about his picture. Everyone was aware about the experiences, but his political leader, Mahatma Gandhi's political leader, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, advised Gandhiji to stay in India quietly for 1 year, have a tour of India and understand the Indian politics, which is vast different from South African politics. So he said that you were not in India since years. Now it is high time you should take your time first, have a tour of India, understand the policies, understand the demands of people, and then enter to the politics of India. Getting my point? So basically he was having that tour and he was just going and talking to the common people, etc. But as everyone was aware about his picture, his involvement was seen in this 3 early Satyagraha. His involvement was seen in this 3 early Satyagraha. How question comes from this topic, what are the early Satyagraha? What are the early Satyagraha of Gandhiji? Okay, so there are 3 Satyagraha. The first one took place at Champaran. Okay, so Champaran is a village in Bihar. Champaran is a village in Bihar. The Satyagraha over there started in the year 1917. Okay, it started in the year 1917. Because the issue was oppressive plantation system. Class 8th you were reading about indigo plantation system and this one is same. If you remember the result of that oppressive indigo plantation system, because they prefer to do it in Bengal region. Okay, a committee was formed Indigo Commission as people started revolting against British Empire, and it was decided that the British merchants will not forcefully ask the peasants to grow indigo. Okay, where in Bengal. Then what did the merchant do? That planter workers do? They moved to Bihar region. Understanding the point? Everything is connected, everything is a story. So they moved to Bihar region, and the same oppressive plantation system was done in indigo. And we know that how indigo makes the soil infertile. Due to this, the people gathered, asked Gandhiji to help them, and Gandhiji also introduced them the new system, that is Satyagraha, that we will be revolting but peacefully. Okay, we will be revolting on the basis of truth, peacefully, no violence will be there. Okay, if I earlier said just non-violence, I'm sorry for that. I mean that it is based on what? Truth and, yes, truth and non-violence. Get my point? No violence will be here. Coming towards the next one, the Satyagraha that held in Kheda, that is Gujarat. Okay, Satyagraha this held in Kheda, Gujarat in the year 1917 due to crop failure and plague epidemic. Now what happened in Gujarat particularly this year? Crop failed due to drought. Okay, due to drought, and according to the British policies, if any region crop are failing because of any natural calamity, that they will reduce the revenue, okay, or they will just make peasants free of the revenue. But this time Britishers would not agreeing, rather they was increasing the revenue day by day. So this was how people revolted against Britishers. And one more thing, that was plague epidemic. Next it is in Ahmedabad. This is again in Gujarat. Ahmedabad, we know that this region was famous for cotton mill. Okay, so this strike was done by, or Satyagraha was organized by cotton mill workers. Okay, it was organized by cotton mill workers against their owners to increase their revenue, because due to plague epidemic they were also affected economically. Getting my point? So these were the three early satyagrahas, and yes, Gandhiji has gained a success in all these three satyagrahas somewhere. He was very successful in making Britishers agree the demands of these people. Now, because of this, he gained popularity among the common masses. Okay, he was getting the popularity among the common masses. He just want to make a struggle which will be all India in nature. He want to start a national movement in which every Indian will be participating. And yes, he will get the chance of it, because Britishers are going to do one thing. They are going to pass an act that is considered as Black Act. Okay, what is that? That is Rowlatt Act. Now, what happened to Britishers now? Right, every time something happens to them, Rowlatt Act is because what happened? There is a truce phase in the Indian National Congress. See, we know that the last movement was Swadeshi movement in the year 1905. Okay, so movement, then the phase of truce, movement and the phase of truce. So we have seen that there will be Swadeshi movement in the year 1905. Up till then, till 1918, we have seen no such movement. Okay, no such all India movement. So at this time we have seen that certain activities, revolutionary activities, were increasing in India. Okay, and Britishers wanted to have a control of them. Now what they did, they passed hurriedly an act by their Imperial Legislative Council sitting in London. Okay, this act gave enormous powers to government. This act gave enormous power to government to suppress this political activist and allowed detention of these prisoners for more 2 years without any trial. If they have found them to be guilty, if not found them to be guilty, everyone will be put in jail if they are doing political activities. Either it is peaceful, either it is not peaceful. Okay, and they will see after 2 years that this person is guilty or not, and they will leave the person after 2 years if not found guilty. So see how crazy this act is, right? So basically this was considered as a black act by Indians, because you are just taking our rights. Okay, all the fundamental rights, right to protest was taken by this act. All the political activists will be allowed detention for 2 years without any trial. Mark all the keywords. In response to that, Gandhiji stood. Gandhiji thought that this is a very good opportunity that we can start a nationwide protest against that, or Satyagraha, peaceful protest against that. And he declared that in response to this act, okay, in response to this act, we will be launching Rowlatt Satyagraha. We will be launching Rowlatt Satyagraha from April 6th, okay, and this is year 1919. This is the year 1919. Gandhiji declared Rowlatt Satyagraha will be launched and we will be peacefully protesting. Now what Indians did, right? He asked the Indians, he asked the people, common people of India to come together and organize rallies. Okay, rallies were organized. All the workers working in mill field or industries by Britishers, started by Britishers, they went on strike. Okay, all the lines of communication was disrupted, like railway crossings, railways were being broken. Okay, telephone wires were cut down. So this was what happened during this time. Did you get my point? This was the reaction of Indians as a part of Indian Satyagraha, Rowlatt Satyagraha in particular. But do you think Britishers will stay quiet? No. Britishers this time started repressing the act. Okay, they started repressing the act of Indians. What did they did? They arrested all the local leaders, and particularly they did it from Amritsar, because we have seen some violence in Amritsar, okay, or anger among the people in Amritsar. So what they have done, they have picked all the local leaders from Amritsar. Even Mahatma Gandhi was barred from entering Delhi. He was being stopped from entering Delhi because they thought that if he entered Delhi, he can have a political base. Okay, he can get the people collected more. Okay, so this was done by Britishers. Now see, as the local leaders were arrested by them in Amritsar particularly, and the leaders were Dr. Satyapal and Saifuddin Khichlu, people get agitated. When people get agitated, there was increase in violence. In response to this violence, okay, in response to this violence, they did police firing in Amritsar on 10th of April. See how they are responding. They did police firing in Amritsar on 10th of April and imposed martial law over there. Now what is martial law? Pay attention here. Basically in martial law, that area comes under military control. Okay, that area comes under military control and all your rights are denied. All your basic rights are being denied. For an example, the group cannot gather now. Okay, all the grouping was not allowed. Communication was not allowed. Right to protest was taken. This was done in this. And General Dyer took the command. After this martial law was imposed, the military commander who was given the charge of this area was General Dyer. Get my point? Now this incident, this event is associated with Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Okay, massacre word itself means that it is mass killing. What it is mass killing, and every Indian here know that this massacre was a very, what we can say, that very negative incident in the whole Indian history. Get my point? Now what happened in Jallianwala? Jallianwala is basically a park, okay, in Amritsar, and every year on Baisakhi, day of Baisakhi, one fair was organized. So all the villagers in the Amritsar, all the villagers along with the Amritsar state, they all come to that fair and celebrate their Baisakhi. But what happened on this year particularly? The date was 13th of April, day of Baisakhi. People gathered to celebrate the Baisakhi fair. However, there were some political protest also. Okay, now Dyer got this news that people are gathered in the area where martial law is imposed and I am the commander. So some superiority came in his mind. He just entered that Jallianwala Bagh, blocked the only exit. Like, I get goosebumps whenever I talk about it, right? So Dyer entered that area, blocked that only exit and started firing. Okay, and started firing on that unarmed crowd for no reason, because they were neither the political activists, neither the revolutionaries. They were just the unarmed crowd who were being killed by this firing, right? If you have visited any time that Jallianwala Bagh, you will see that bullet shots on the wall. People just wanted to save themselves from this bullet shots. They jumped in the well and gave their life. So whole nation was stunned by this incident that happened on Jallianwala Bagh. Nobody was happy. So the Satyagraha, which started in 6th of April, that is Rowlatt Satyagraha, need to be withdrawn because nobody was ready for it, because everyone in India was in grief at that time, because in this Jallianwala Bagh massacre, many people were killed here. Okay, how Indian reacted on that, pay attention, that how Indians reacted. There were crowds on streets. Okay, people came on street against this British Act. Okay, they attacked the government buildings and many areas people went on strike. But instead of accepting their mistake, what Britishers did is very hurtful. What they did brutal repression. They terrorized people, humiliated people. See what they are doing. They asked people who were making the strikes and protests, they asked people to rub their noses on ground. See what they are doing. They are asking people to rub their noses on the ground, crawling on the street, do salam sahib whenever they see any Britisher. People were flocked like animals and villages were bombed. This incident is known as repression done by the Britishers after this Jallianwala Bagh massacre. And do you know, when Dyer was called to London after this act and he was asked that why you did this Jallianwala Bagh, what he said that I didn't wanted to kill people. I just want to terrorize the minds of Indians, that what Britishers can do. So this is the excuse given by General Dyer after this incident. Got my point? So this was Jallianwala Bagh massacre. We have Rowlatt Act, okay, and no solution to that. We have Jallianwala Bagh massacre, again no solution to this incident also. One more incident that added to the national struggle was Khilafat issue. Okay, let us have a closer look at this Khilafat issue. Now see, in the world we were fighting First World War. Okay, First World War was fought between two parties. Pay attention. There were Allied powers and Central powers. Okay, in the Allied powers there were countries like Britain, France, Russia, etc. Okay, whereas in the Central power you can see Germany, Italy, and one more, that were Ottoman Turks. Okay, basically the present day Turkey we are talking about them. Get my point? This Allied power won the First World War and imposed several treaties on the Central powers. As a result of which harsh treaty was applied on the Ottoman Empire, due to which their spiritual leader, that is Khalifa. Muslims, Islam culture have their spiritual leader who is referred as Khalifa. He lost all his territorial rights from that region. Okay, when he lost that, all the Muslim community throughout the world was very infuriated on Britishers. They were very unhappy by this incident, as a result of which in India, the Muslims retaliated by forming a committee. Okay, a committee that is referred as Khilafat committee, demanding that restored the power of Khalifa which you took in the Ottoman Empire. Okay, so this Khilafat committee was formed in Bombay in the month March 1919. I want every student of mine to remember this month also. Okay, so Khilafat committee formed in Bombay in the month of March 1919 by Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali, two Muslim leaders who were referred as Ali brothers also. So they were formed by Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali. Now what happened? They moved to Gandhiji also and talked to Gandhiji that this is the issue and we are forming this committee. So Gandhiji thought that this is an opportunity because this Khilafat committee members wanted to start a movement against Britishers, a nationwide movement against Britishers. Gandhiji thought that this is a very good opportunity when we can have mass agitation. Because of this issue, Muslims will also be included in our national struggle. Okay, so we can start a movement along with both Hindu and Muslims against Britishers so that it can be a united nation movement. Okay, Gandhiji took that as an opportunity and wanted to start a movement. He went to Indian National Congress. Now, there was a session organized in Calcutta. See, pay attention here. There was a session organized in Calcutta in September 1920 and this is map work also. Pay attention. Whatever I am telling you as map work, you can mark along with this video so that you should not forget it later. Okay. So this session of Calcutta held on September 1920 when Gandhiji took this interest to Indian National Congress that we can start a non-cooperation movement. Okay, we can start a nationwide movement against this issue. Which issue? In the support of Khilafat issue. Okay. So in this session, he convinced all the leaders of Indian National Congress that yes, we can start the non-cooperation movement on Khilafat issue. Now pay attention, it was not only the Khilafat issue which was taken on the background, because up till now, no solution to Rowlatt Act has been seen. Okay, Britishers have not accepted their mistake in Jallianwala Bagh massacre. One more incident has happened, that is Khilafat issue. All these incidents were put together in non-cooperation movement and a demand was presented by Indians, that is the demand of Swaraj. Okay, do you know what does this word means? It is known as self-rule, that Indians want their rule in their territory. British rule will not be accepted in Indian territory. This was the demand of this non-cooperation movement. Rowlatt Act, Jallianwala Bagh massacre, Khilafat issue, all these three issues need justice and it will get the justice only when Swaraj will be provided to India. Okay, now the Congress members question how we are going to organize this movement to Gandhiji. Okay, then Gandhiji replied that what? Gandhiji written in his book 1909, Hind Swaraj, that why Indians do not get Swaraj, because we have accepted everything by Britishers. We are cooperating to the Britishers. Okay, what they do? They have opened government schools and Indian students are going in that school. Okay, Indian teachers are teaching in that school. Foreign clothes are being brought by Britishers and Indians are wearing that. So we are cooperating and until we will be cooperating, British will rule us. If we want to stop the British rule in India, we need to stop cooperation with Britishers, and this was the thing Gandhiji put here. Okay, everything understood, but everyone asked that what will be the steps taken by us. So he said that this movement will be unfolded into stages. Okay, the first step we are going to do is we need to surrender the titles. Okay, what these titles have been given by Britishers to the Indian members, we need to surrender them. We don't want any honor from Britishers. Surrender the titles, boycott the civil service, boycott their army. No one will work in their army, no one will work in their police. Stop going to schools, teachers stop teaching in their schools. We can also stop our involvement in legislative council and all the government offices. Get the point? Okay, so this was the first step, and then Gandhiji said that, and if still our demands will not be accepted, then we will be moving this movement to civil disobedience. Okay, this is how our movement will be unfolded. First, we will be non-cooperating with them. Then, by civil disobedience, we will be breaking the laws. We will be breaking the laws. However, In this act, only first one was accepted because it was then withdrawn. Getting my point? Again, a meeting held at Indian National Congress session, again, a meeting held at Indian National Congress session of Nagpur. This was in December 1920 when a compromise was made, compromise was done and non-cooperation was adopted. Now you might be thinking that, ma'am, why did the word compromise is used here? Because everyone might be happy to start this movement, then why compromise? Because I want to tell you that the issue is about this legislative council. All the members of Indian National Congress were very much ready to accept other thing except this boycotting of Legislative Council. I want to tell you that by the Act of Government of India 1919, okay, by the Act of Government of India 1919, seats were given to Indians in their Legislative Council. Okay, in their legislative council, like the parliament we have today. Okay, they have given some seats to Indians. For that seat we need to participate in the elections. Okay, but Gandhiji said that legislative council will be boycotted. Indian National Congress is a political party and there were certain members who were not ready to accept it. They wanted to participate in politics because they said that it is the only way by which we are standing in front of Britishers equal to them. Okay, however, the compromise was done, everyone accepted this, all the members of Indian National Congress and other parties in India also accepted that, leaving one single party. I am going to tell about that party later. Okay, remember that the non-cooperation movement was started in two stages. It will be unfolded in two stages. First, everything will be boycotted. If not accepted, then civil disobedience movement will be started. Getting the point? Now, the demand within this movement was Swaraj. That means self-rule. We wanted self-rule, but the fact interesting here is that every Indian has a different definition of this word Swaraj. Okay, we are going to just get it clear that how was it different for every Indian, although it clearly states the meaning that it is self-rule. Because now see, what are the different strands within the movement? For an example, what Swaraj was to the middle class people, what Swaraj was for tribal people, what Swaraj was for the people living in villages. Everyone has a different interpretation of the word and everyone has started this non-cooperation movement in their own way. First, what we will do, we will see the movement in the town, okay? Then we will see the rebellion in the countryside. Here we want to unfold the two things about peasants and then about tribals. And the last, then we will be seeing Swaraj in the plantation. One by one we will be covering that. Along with this, there is one more question: who were the participants in the non-cooperation movement? Okay, so who were the participants in the non-cooperation movement? Here, movement in the town, middle class were the participants, villagers were the participants, peasants, tribal, plantation workers were the participants, and let us talk about them. First, we are going with movement in the town. See, it is the movement in the town. The middle class participants actively participated in this. Okay, in the town. What happened? The students left the government school. The teachers left teaching in the government schools and colleges. Okay, they have resigned. Lawyers left their law practices. They stopped going to law courts. Elections for legislative council were boycotted except in one political party, which I told you that I will be telling you later. This is Justice Party in Madras. Okay, this was Justice Party in Madras because this Justice Party was dominated, or what we can say that formed by non-Brahmins, and they always thought that their demands will never be accepted by Indian National Congress, and they kept themselves a little away from the work style of Indian National Congress. Get my point? Coming back to it, so students left school for studying. How happy they might be, na? Teachers left school for teaching. They resigned. They are also happy. Now moving forward, lawyers left their law practices, etc. It's only for joke, but the situation was very difficult at that time. Okay. if you are boycotting the goods of any particular country, their economy will definitely be affected. And see how important is the economic impact of non-cooperation movement in British economy, because foreign goods were boycotted. Okay, their liquor shops were picketed. Picketed means just sitting outside the liquor shops and protesting peacefully. Okay, foreign clothes were burned in bonfire. Import of this foreign good, see, import of this foreign good in this particular year dropped down from 102 crore to 57 crore, and this was a victory for Indians, because we have dropped their economy for half just by boycotting, just by peaceful protest. Okay, so this non-cooperation movement, this is how it held in towns, and it was successful though. So for the participants in the towns, for the middle class participants, it was boycotting. Okay, it was boycotting as told by Mahatma Gandhi. They were following it. Now we are moving to the next one, that is rebellion in the countryside. In the countryside, we have seen that the peasants were facing so much of problem. Okay, and they started a movement that is referred as Awadh peasant movement. Awadh peasant movement was led by Baba Ramchandra. Now who is Baba Ramchandra in the picture? He was basically indentured labor. Now what is indentured labor? Now what they did, now Britishers were ruling to so many countries, they took Indians as labor and then settled them in another country, made them work there without any payment. So he was also the victim of such thing. He was indentured labor and he was sent to Fiji. He was sent to Fiji. When he came back in his region, Awadh, he has seen that there is problem of begari. Now what is begar? Making people work as labor, that is without payment. Without payment. Either the peasants were working as begar or they were working as tenants. They asked the peasants to work, and these tenants have no security of land. They were having no security of land. If you are paying the right revenue, then it is okay. Otherwise, land will be taken from you. So this was the problem in the village, right? The peasants here, by this movement started by Baba Ramchandra, demanded abolition of this begari system, reduction of revenue, and they started the boycotting of oppressive landlords. Now see, right? In India, non-cooperation movement is started. Non-cooperation movement is going on. Under this non-cooperation movement, the peasants started Awadh peasant movement, okay, as a part of non-cooperation movement. What is Swaraj for this Awadh people? What is Swaraj for this peasant to get free from this oppressive landlords? Get my point, right? So it is, they are not fighting against British Empire. Rather, they are fighting against this oppressive landlords, what we have done. In the part of this rebellion, they have 9 Dhobi Bands organized. Okay, in June 1902, even Jawaharlal Nehru visited that region, and after talking to everyone, he has seen that there are so many grievances of peasants which are not reaching to Indian National Congress. Okay, so he did what? He formed all the Kisan Sabha, or this particularly Awadh. Okay, so he formed Awadh Kisan Sabha, and within some time, more than 300 this sabhas were made in the village nearby, just to highlight the issues of the villagers, to get it recognized and get them help, because the interest of the villagers is also very important for Indian National Congress. Get my point? So this was the rebellion in the countryside. Moving to the next, the tribals were also affected. Particularly here we are talking about the tribals of Gudam Hills of Andhra Pradesh. Okay, but now there is little bit difference in this tribal revolt, because we are talking about non-cooperation movement that is started by Gandhiji, and Gandhiji is urging people, asking people to do it in the manner of Satyagraha. That means we will be based upon truth and we will be in a non-violent manner. But these people, tribal people, started a guerrilla warfare movement, and guerrilla warfare movement itself has what? Violence. Okay, I want to tell you that what were the problems which urged this people of tribal to start that revolt. It is basically the colonial government laws. Forest laws, you have already learned this in class 8 and 9, that forest laws were implemented by Britishers which denied entry to the tribals. And now tribals have a very strong feeling for their land, right? They believe that forest is their homeland, right? They live there since ages. They do all the activities there. Now they are not allowed to enter into that forest. They're not allowed to use the forest produce. They were very agitated by this, right? They were forced to contribute as begar, forced labor in their homeland itself. So due to this, rebellion started in the tribal region, and this was led by Alluri Sitaram Raju. Yes, the same person which is shown in RRR somewhere, okay? So Alluri Sitaram Raju considered himself that he is the protector of this homeland. Okay, he has been sent by the god to protect the homeland. He has some magical powers and he will cure the problems of everyone. However, this was something like mythological, but yes, he was inspired by Gandhiji so much. He was inspired by Gandhiji's action. One difference they both have: Gandhiji believed in non-violent way, he believed in violent way. Okay, Raju, inspired by Gandhiji, persuaded the people to use khadi. He said that we should just leave foreign clothes, we should leave liquor, we should give up drinking. Rather than using foreign liquor, we should give up drinking. He just had a difference that he said that we can only be liberated by violence. We can never be liberated by non-violence. So, no violence against Britishers, attack British officials, they attacked British buildings, etc., etc. Britishers in response arrested, captured him, and he was executed in the year 1924. And he became folk hero for India. Got my point? So he is a folk hero in the region of Andhra Pradesh, particularly for the tribal community. Now see, what I want to make you clear is that what is Swaraj for tribals? Okay, what is Swaraj for tribals? To have freedom in their forest region, to get free from this forest law. Okay, is this something to do with Rowlatt Act, to do with Khilafat issue? No. But however, it was the base which brought all the Indians together. Pay attention, right? There can never be a common cause for such a diverse nation, but there can be commonness to bring people together for a national movement, which was done by Gandhiji. Okay, taking all the issues, all the communities work together, fighting in their own way to get freedom from Britishers. Moving to the last one, that is Swaraj in the plantation. For plantation workers, what was Swaraj? Okay, now what happened? Britishers were basically very much interested to grow commercial crops in India. Okay, like they grew cotton, we know about silk, tea, coffee, cashew nut, etc. So they passed an Inland Immigration Act in the year 1859. Inland Immigration Act in the year 1859, in which they will hire some workers to work in that commercial crop area. For an example, tea gardens. Okay, they will hire that people, and these workers will not be allowed to leave the gardens by their own will. See, it is not freedom. They are just taking the right to life even, right? What they did, the workers were not even allowed to leave that tea gardens without the permission. And do you think that permission would ever be given? No. So when workers heard of this non-cooperation movement organized by Gandhiji, they immediately left their tea gardens and headed to their home, just disrespecting the law made by Britishers. Get my point? Okay, they thought that Gandhian Raj will be coming, replacing the British Raj. What they thought? That Gandhian Raj is coming, replacing the British Raj. Caught by Britishers and beaten up, because Britishers said that we won't allow you to go. So they were caught by Britishers, beaten up very badly. Hence, tribal interpreted the word Swaraj as their own way, not as Swatantra Bharat. Okay, but whenever they were doing this movement, they were chanting Swatantra Bharat. That means they wanted freedom, Swatantrata in their region. Get my point? So from where we have started the picture, I want you to pay attention before moving to this. Okay, or what we can do, we'll complete this and then we will have a quick recap of this, what we have studied up till now. Now this non-cooperation movement was going on. One thing happened that was against by Gandhiji, that is violence. Okay, and this is what happened at Chauri Chaura. Chauri Chaura is a place. Okay, Chauri Chaura is a place in Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh. Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh. What happened there? There was some peaceful demonstration done by the people in Bazaar. People were protesting so peacefully. Now something happened to Britishers. They started firing at that peaceful procession. They are attacking, violent clash between that protesters and the government. What happened? Hearing this incident, some people went and put a fire on the police station, British police station, due to which 22 policemen died. Hearing this news of this incident, Mahatma Gandhi, which was totally against the violence, right, called off this movement because he thought that the people of India are still not ready to start a Satyagraha that is based on truth and non-violence. Right? Because he knew that if one violent activity held in India, others will definitely join it and it will lead to a disaster for India. Okay, so he withdrew this movement. And when was this movement withdrawn? Chauri Chaura in 1922. Do remember this point because this is very, very important. Okay, so we reached it towards the withdrawn of Chauri Chaura movement here. Where we started with First World War. Pay attention. We started with First World War. What is important from this topic is effect of First World War on national struggle. An important question that can come for 5 marks. Okay, so this you have completed successfully. Moving further, then we have seen entry of Gandhiji. Okay, entry of Gandhiji. 3 marker question. What were the early Satyagraha of Gandhiji? What were the early Satyagraha of Gandhiji? Then we have seen, okay, when did Gandhiji came India? 1915. Okay, I want you to mention the year of Champaran, Kheda and Ahmedabad right now in the comment section. When and where did this Champaran issue and why was this happened? Okay, not only Champaran, all the 3. See, then an act was passed, that is Rowlatt Act in the year 1919. Against this Rowlatt Act, we started Rowlatt Satyagraha. Okay, we started Rowlatt Satyagraha. Gandhiji decided to launch this Satyagraha on 6th of April 1919. Moving further, after this Rowlatt Satyagraha, we have seen Jallianwala Bagh massacre, 13th of April, the day of Baisakhi in the year 1919. Okay, we know the response of Britishers after this act, and then we have seen Calcutta session in September 1920. Okay, where non-cooperation movement was adopted, or what we can say, everyone was convinced to start the non-cooperation movement. Then a compromise between the leaders was done in December session at Nagpur. This is also in the year 1920. Then eventually we have started non-cooperation movement, and this non-cooperation movement was withdrawn in the year 1922 because of the incident that happened in Chauri Chaura, and this was a violent incident. This is a quick recall of what you have studied up till now. Okay, now take a sip of water because I know this chapter is little vast but important for us. Okay, moving further, after ending this non-cooperation movement, let us see how we are moving to civil disobedience movement, because this chapter deals with 2 important topics. non-cooperation as well as civil disobedience movement. Now what happened? I want to tell you that, see, this is how India freedom struggle is going on. Movement, truce. Movement, truce. Swadeshi movement in the year 1905, then there was a truce phase in Indian politics. Again, 1919 non-cooperation movement, it will end in the year 1922, and a truce phase in terms of movement. However, it doesn't mean that activities stopped here. See, everyone participated in non-cooperation movement wholeheartedly. Every leader, every common people from India, and they were disappointed by this withdrawal of non-cooperation movement by Gandhiji. Everyone was so disheartened by this act. Now, what will take shape to the politics to India in future? Because what happened after non-cooperation is very important, right? So, two factors that shaped Indian politics. First one is very, very obvious, that there was worldwide economic depression. Okay, First World War. Then we have seen economy decline, not even in India, even in Europe also. And if you remember, in 1929, that was great year of depression, right? So this was the time worldwide everyone was facing economic depression. India was also. The second and the most important reason is the coming of Simon Commission. You might have heard Simon go back, Simon go back. Comment down in the Simon go back. Okay, setting up of Simon Commission, what is that? Now, by the Act of Government of India 1919, okay, take a little back. By the Act of Government of India 1919, Britishers said that we will be forming a commission after 10 years. Okay, we will be forming a commission after 10 years for the constitutional development of India. Why? Because Indians were demanding for the development. They wanted more right in the constitution making of India and for the rules of India. So, to just pacify their demands, they have presented in the Act of Government of India 1919 that they will make a commission, and they did that in the year 1927. Okay, and this commission was named as Simon Commission because it was headed by Sir John Simon. It was headed by Sir John Simon. Okay. Now what happened? To look into the functioning of constitutional development in India, people were not happy by this commission. Though this commission was formed in 1927, do you know, this commission came to India in the year 1928. Okay. And people just opposed the entry of this commission. Reason is why? Because this commission will be doing the constitutional development in India, and there were total 7 members, no single member was Indian. So you are making constitution for India, development for India, not constitution but constitutional development for India, and you're not even involving a single Indian member here. This was the point of Indians. Indians greeted this commission with the slogan, Simon go back, and the black flags throughout India. Wherever this commission was going, everyone was showing the black flags and resisting the entry of this commission. Did you get this point? So this is the two factors that shaped Indian politics when the truce phase was going on. Coming back to the topic, that people were not happy by the withdrawal of non-cooperation movement, right? And there were certain young leaders, or I can't call them young, but yeah, there were some radical leaders in Indian National Congress who wanted to enter back in the elections of Legislative Council, because we have boycotted everything in non-cooperation movement, and they think that this was a loss because we need to be the part of Legislative Assembly elections. Okay. C.R. Das, Chittaranjan Das, who is, and Motilal Nehru, father of Jawaharlal Nehru, they both together formed Swaraj Party within Indian National Congress. Okay, as a part of Congress, this party was formed because these were supporting and they wanted to participate in the elections, upcoming elections. Okay, they wanted to participate in the upcoming elections, and meanwhile, there were very much young leaders emerging in Indian National Congress like Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose, who have a very radical approach. Radical approach, that means they wanted freedom, right? And they were very radical, outrightly just placing their thoughts in front of everyone. So this was it. Now, when these young leaders came in demand, came in command of Indian National Congress, Irwin got this. Irwin thought that this is high time, these people are just revolting against us, protesting us. Now what should we do? Irwin was feared that if one more movement by like non-cooperation movement started, it will just affect their economy. So this Lord Irwin, the then Viceroy, okay, Lord Irwin, the then Viceroy, offered something to Indians, okay. This is totally a vague offer by Irwin. Irwin said that you wanted Swaraj, right? Okay, so do one thing, I'll be giving you the dominion status. What? I'll be giving you the dominion status, and in response, you should participate in round table conference. You are again and again people demanding for constitutional development. Come in London, let us talk in the round table conference and figure it out. Everyone from India, everyone, representatives of everyone, like for Muslims, Muslim League, okay, for untouchables, there were Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and Indian National Congress, because it was the major party. Everyone come in London and we will talk about it. If we had a successful discussion, I will be giving your country dominion status. Now, what is dominion status? Is it freedom? No. Here, dominion status means that he was trying to give what? That we will be the rulers. Only the government will be formed by Indians. Getting my point? We will dominate you. The dominion status will be given to you, and this is how this vague offer was presented by Irwin, right? Now, this young leaders said that we will not accept it. What is this offer? We were demanding for Swaraj, this dominion status, in 1990, not now. We want complete freedom now, okay? Now, this demand of complete freedom was done in Lahore session. Pay attention, very, very important session also for map work too. Okay, so again Indian National Congress has had a session in 1929. In 1929, and here the leaders demanded for Purna Swaraj. Purna Swaraj means complete independence. You have to leave India now. Getting my point? And this session was headed by Jawaharlal Nehru. This session was headed by Jawaharlal Nehru. People demanded complete Swaraj on the midnight of 31st of January 1930. Gandhiji sent a letter to Irwin putting his 11 demands, right? Gandhiji also joined this fray, and he said that I'll be sending a letter to Irwin, okay? If Irwin will be accepting the demand, then it is okay. If not, then an all India national movement will be started. Get my point? On the same day, at the midnight hour of 31st of January, Jawaharlal Nehru on the bank of river Ravi hosted the Indian national flag, that tricolor flag, right? So, and on that day, it was decided that the next Sunday we are meeting, that will be 26th of January. Okay, that the next Sunday we are meeting, that is 26th of January, it will be referred as Independence Day. Independence Day. Okay, take a pause and think, why do we celebrate Republic Day on 26th of January? Okay, because our constitution was ready on 26th of November. Then why we waited till 26th of January? Because we wanted this incident. See here, we are talking about everything here happened in 1929. Okay, and this is 26th January 1930. This incident took place in 1930, and we want the date to be relevant in future. Okay, we want to keep the importance in future, and hence we waited for 2 months and declared Republic Day on that day. Okay, however, on 26th of January 1930, it was said that we will be celebrating the Indian Independence Day, and it was the first time India celebrated Independence Day, demanding Purna Swaraj, that is full freedom from Britishers. Got my point? Now see how civil disobedience movement was started, and we will gradually analyze how it is different from non-cooperation movement. Okay. Now what happened? Gandhiji sent a letter, like chitti was sent to Irwin, that accept this 11 demands, or else if you are not doing it till 11th of March, pay attention, till 11th of March I will be launching civil disobedience movement. Now what were the demands in the list? They were just basic demands like reduced salt tax, okay, allow Indians to make salt. Why wasn't it allowed? No, I'll tell you. Right? Release all the political prisoners you have arrested, and many more such, like reduce defense expenditure. All the basic demands were listed in that 11 demands. And what Gandhiji made important was salt. Right? I always tell that this person has a greatness because he used to make a local issue a national issue very successfully. Like look, Khilafat issue was a local issue made national. Okay. Similarly, this salt is a local issue which was made a national issue. Now, why salt? Because do you know that salt was considered as a powerful symbol within India, because each and every one was using salt, right? And there are many commodities which are used by Indians. Then why salt again? Because they have done what? They have passed a tax here. Right? And inhuman tax was applied on the consumption of salt as well as the monopoly. Okay? The monopoly, that means only right. Only right to make the salt was given to Britishers. Like in India, how salt is prepared? Just by evaporating the ocean water, na? In India, in our Indian land, they are using the ocean water, making the salt, selling it to Indians, that too with a tax. Is it inhuman? Yes. Considering this incident, Gandhiji started the world famous salt march, right? You may have, I think you have seen this picture everywhere. Okay. So, considering this, Gandhiji started this on 11th of March when the demands were not accepted by Irwin, civil disobedience movement was launched. Okay. Gandhiji started his historic salt march with 78 volunteers. From where? From his Sabarmati ashram. See, from Sabarmati ashram to Dandi, and it was started on the date 12th of April. Sorry, 12th of March. Okay, so this was started on 12th of March. From Sabarmati ashram to Dandi, and this was 240 miles. All the volunteers, other than the 78 volunteers, joined him during his walk, and it took 24 days to reach to Dandi. They walked 10 miles a day. Finally, on 6th of April, Gandhiji and his volunteers reached the coast of Dandi, and they broke the salt law. The salt law which denied Indians to make the salt, right? They took a pan, put ocean water, evaporated and made salt. Now see, here they are not boycotting, they are breaking the law. Getting the point? Civil disobedience. They are disobediently, reacting to what? The civil authorities, the Britishers. Okay, so this is why salt was taken as a basis of CDM and how salt march was done. This is a historic movement. Do you know? In parts of India separately, other than Gandhiji also, there were certain leaders who started this march in their region. Like in Peshawar, if we talk about Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, he started that movement, right? And in many parts of India, other people were also doing that. But do you think that only this salt march is a part of CDM? No. Right? What were the steps taken? The steps that already being taken in non-cooperation movement was also continued. For an example, the foreign clothes were boycotted, liquor shops picketed, peasants refused to pay revenue and chowkidari tax, village officers resigned from their post, and people violated the forest law, which earlier also happened. Okay, but this time we have seen that one more thing is added, that is breaking of law. That is what? Breaking of law. What was government's response to that? Now, will government digest this? Not at all. The Congress leaders were arrested. All the major leaders from the country were arrested. There were violent clashes between the protesters and the Britishers. Abdul Ghaffar Khan, I just told you, he's also referred as Frontier Gandhi. He was a favorite disciple of Gandhiji and he protested on the streets of Peshawar. He was also arrested. Demonstrators were being killed by the Britishers. Mahatma Gandhi himself was arrested. See, the leaders are not there. How will the movement survive? But it survived by the Indian peoples. Getting it? Peaceful Satyagrahis were attacked, women and children were beaten, and about 1 lakh people were arrested. See how harsh the government response is. Okay? How violently they have repressed our activity, and this was what going on in civil disobedience movement. Get the point? I just want to add one more thing. Before moving further, I want to add that. Okay, let us first complete that, then we will move it. Now, coming forward, but this civil disobedience movement ended, or it was withdrawn by this act of Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Okay, Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Now, what is this Gandhi-Irwin Pact? Gandhiji representing the Indian National Congress and Irwin representing the British government. They entered into a pact on 5th of March 1931. See, we have started this civil disobedience movement by Salt March, okay? On which date? 12th of March, right? We continued it till 5th of March 1931. But however, by this pact, CDM was withdrawn. Now, in this pact, both agreed to some conditions. They came together. Irwin wanted to talk to Gandhiji because he was not able to face the situation what is going in India. Okay. Irwin went to Gandhiji. Irwin said that you accept some of my demands and I'll accept some of your demands. Okay. Remember 11 demands put by Gandhiji. Okay. So, Irwin presented some demands and Gandhiji also. What Gandhiji accepted was to withdraw the CDM movement. So, civil disobedience movement was withdrawn on 5th of March and accepted one more thing. Yes, the offer to attend the round table conference. Okay, the same round table conference which will be talking about the constitutional development in India. It will be talking about the constitutional development in India. Gandhiji accepted this round table conference. See, first round table conference took place in the year 1930, right? And Indian National Congress not attended it. Now, the second round table conference will be organized in 1931 and Irwin made Gandhiji agree to join this round table conference by this pact. Okay? Getting my point? Gandhiji attended the second round table conference also. However, in response to that act, this pact, what Irwin agreed on was some demands. One of the demands were that he will release the political prisoners who were not found to be guilty. Right? He made Gandhiji just accept that I will be leaving all the political prisoners, you need to accept it, violence is going on and such more things. Okay. However, do you think that if when Gandhiji withdrawn this movement and went to CDM, prisoners were being released? No, they were not being released. Every promise was false by Irwin. Okay, Gandhiji went to London to attend this round table conference. However, negotiations failed there and he came back disappointed. Along with this disappointment, Indians were also disappointed because everyone participated again in CDM wholeheartedly and we failed in this movement as well. Okay, when he came back, however, see, like, what was offered by Irwin was also very important to save India's economy because a movement can long last. This movement was running since 1 year. And if people are not going to school, right, students are not going to school, people are not working, you can understand the economic situation. We cannot leave the movement to go on and on without any of the demand accepted. Getting my point? So this was accepted by Gandhiji. When Gandhiji came back, right, what he thought that there will be a good welcome by Britishers. However, there was brutal repressions by government this time because when he came back, he wanted to relaunch the CDM. The Britishers knew that he will come and relaunch it. They started brutal repression. All the leaders of Congress were arrested. Even This Congress was declared illegal. Still, Gandhiji relaunched this movement. However, it lost momentum and totally it was ended in the year 1934. Okay, so this is how the next movement, that is CDM, went and how it withdrawn. Okay, before moving to how participants saw the CDM, okay, let us talk about one important question that is often been asked by your board examiners. Okay, the question is, what is the difference between non-cooperation movement and civil disobedience movement? Now you might be thinking that, ma'am, we have already studied it. Yes, we have done it. But if I ask the same question to you for 5 marks, it will be little difficult for you to make the perfect points that examiner wants from you. Okay, so now let us make the difference between, first we will talk about non-cooperation movement. Okay, then here it is CDM, that is civil disobedience movement. Get my point or not? Now we will make a list of differences between the two. The first point here is non-cooperation movement was started in the year. Okay, so it was started in the year 1920 particularly. We have seen that. However, when we talk about CDM, civil disobedience movement, this was started by Salt March. Okay, this was started by Salt March in the year 1930. The first difference is that non-cooperation movement was started by seeing the issue of what? The basis issue was Khilafat issue. Okay, it was Khilafat issue. However, when we talk about CDM, they has taken was salt as a issue. They made salt as a issue. This is the two major difference between NCM and CDM. The next here comes the third difference in non-cooperation movement and CDM is that very important. In non-cooperation, what was used as a strategy was boycott. Okay, however, here they have taken breaking of the laws. All the laws made by the civil authorities, that means British government, was broken here. Okay? In non-cooperation movement, we have seen the participation of Muslim community because Khilafat issue was there, na? Do you remember this or not? Right? However, by the time civil disobedience movement came, this participation of Muslim community has been seen vanishing because their support was also seen vanishing. Okay? They demanded for a separate territory and demand for a separate Muslim dominated region also started in India. Moving further with the next and the last point, see how 5 difference we have made. Okay, the last point, I will give you 6 points rather. If any of the point is not in your mind, then you can use that one. Okay, always follow this strategy. Whenever it is a 5-marker question, we add one more point in your learning so that if you skip the other one, choose the next one. Okay, here we can see that women participation in non-cooperation movement was not seen. However, the women participation in CDM was extremely seen here. Last but not the least, how did non-cooperation movement ended or withdrawn? So it was withdrawn due to Chauri Chaura incident. Okay, Chauri Chaura incident that took place in 1922. However, why CDM was withdrawn? Because of Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Okay, because of a pact signed between the Viceroy Irwin and Mahatma Gandhi in the year 1931. So here we got the difference between non-cooperation movement and civil disobedience movement, the two major movements of Indian freedom struggle. But the thing is not yet completed because we want to know how participants saw the movement, and here we are not talking about non-cooperation, we are here talking about the civil disobedience movement, right? How participants saw that, right? There is a different view for every individual in the society. See, whenever a movement is started in the society, everyone is either the part of it or not the part of it. Okay, everyone has their say in that movement. Here we are going to talk about some communities like rich peasants, poor peasantry, business class, and if the person is business class, then there might be industrial working class also, and at last that is women. These were the people who somewhere has participation in the non-cooperation movement. What was their view? Now we are going to talk about them one by one. First, I will talk about the rich peasantry. See, CDM was launched because India wanted complete independence from Britishers. They wanted the complete independence because they were suffering from their policies. Okay, now how rich peasants were suffering, let us talk about this. The Patidars of Gujarat and the Jats of UP were very much active in this movement. Why? Now why rich peasants are active? Now why? They want British government to move from there because they were the major exporters of grain. Look, they were the major exporters of grain, and when the world was facing worldwide economic depression, it led to the falling prices of their commodities. Right? One and the most important thing was they were the producers of grains and many other commodities. When the prices declined, their interest also declined. Got my point? Now what happened? Government refused to reduce the revenue, but because they are large-scale farmers, okay, revenue is given by them to the Britishers. However, due to declining prices, the government ought to decline the revenue, but they did not did it. Okay, this was here. Hence, disappointment was seen during this movement against Britishers. But when the movement was withdrawn by Gandhiji, these people were also so disappointed, and when it was relaunched by Gandhiji after coming back from round table conference, these people not participated in the movement again. Keep that in mind. Okay, moving towards the opposite people, that is poor peasantry people. Same the issue is reduction of revenue, and yes, they have participated actively in the movement. Okay, but peasants were unable to pay the rents to the tenants. However, let me just clear that out to you. Poor peasants wanted to participate in the movement and they did it somewhere. But the Congress was unwilling to support the no tax campaign movement. Okay, why no tax campaign movement? Because what was seen in the villages, like it was seen that the landlords were being hitted, right? See, the interest of Congress lies with the rich people. Why? Because somewhere political party also has a backing from rich people, right? However, poor peasantry was also supported, but everything was supported, leaving one thing, that is no tax campaign, because they thought that if we are not giving the taxes, see, when no tax campaign was followed, now there was widespread violence, and Congress was opposing to violence there. Relations remained uncertain. Some areas there were active participation, however in some areas there was less participation. Moving to the next one, that is business class. See, business class demanded protection against the import of foreign goods. We know that India was flooded with the foreign goods, British good in particular, because what they have done, they have taken raw materials from India, that too in cheaper prices, and bought the finished goods to India back. Because of that, the foreign goods were flooded in India because it was cheaper in comparison to Indian goods, right? And it gave a stiff competition, very difficult competition to the Indian people making their commodities. Now, business class wanted protection from this particular thing. The rupee sterling foreign exchange ratio, that will discourage import. Now, we need to pay attention on this rupee sterling foreign exchange ratio. For an example, this is Britain. Have a look over it. This is Britain and this is India. Okay. There are certain commodities or goods that are made in Britain. Okay, commodities or goods that is made in Britain. When goods are transferred from Britain to India, it has a low interest rate. See, it has a low interest rate, due to which they are selling it in India in a cheaper price. Okay, in a cheaper price. However, when the same product goes from India to Britain, they have a very high interest rate, or what we can call it as tariff. custom duty is applied on that, due to which this product is sold at a higher price in other places as well. Now, why will a person buy the same product in a higher price? Okay, that is very obvious. Due to this ratio, right, rupee sterling foreign exchange ratio, that will discourage import. This will do what? This will discourage the import of Indian goods in Britain. This was basically followed by British as a policy to suppress our Indian goods in foreign markets as well. Okay. So, in response to this, the business class has formed various associations. The important among them are Indian Industrial and Commercial Congress in the year 1920. Do remember this year because this can come as MCQ, okay, multiple choice question. The second one is FICCI, that is Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industries, particularly formed in the year 1927. See, Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industries in 1927, and we know that these industrial groups were basically led by prominent industrialists like Purushottam Das, Thakur Das, G.D. Birla and many more in the list. Did you get the point? Yes, business class was supporting the movement of civil disobedience because they wanted protection against the import of British goods and they wanted the increase of Indian goods in the foreign market as well. This was the major one. Now, cut to moving to working class of people, right? Now, the people who are working in these industries, let us talk about their grievances, their stand on CDM, okay? They did not, see the word, they did not participate in large number except in one region, that is in Nagpur region. So, the relation of working class was also uncertain in CDM because Congress was reluctant to include the workers' demand. See why? If we talk about this business class and working class, like it is a relation between the boss and a worker, right? Will they have a cordial relation? They will never have a cordial relation. And Congress did not wanted to reduce the support of business class by supporting the working class because these people also give fund to the political parties. Getting my point? So, Congress was reluctant to increase the workers' demand. However, worker adopted some Gandhian programs like boycott of foreign goods and strikes. Boycott of foreign goods and strikes. Did you get this point? Now coming to the most important one, that is the participation of women. Why it is important? Because up till now, whatever movement has took place in India, either it be Swadeshi movement or it be non-cooperation movement, we have not seen so much active participation of women in this movement. But here, up till the time CDM was launched, women came on the streets, women were actively participating, they even went to jail, right? See, large-scale population participation was seen there. They participated in protest marches, right? They have manufactured salt, they have picketed liquor and foreign goods. They even went to jail. Now see, Gandhiji has given a very good statement here and he somewhere had a role in the participation of women's, and up till now women's were also they were also aware about their rights, right? They aware about their work as well. They said that it is basically the duty of a woman, right? It is the duty of the woman to see it as a service to the nation, right? Like they are giving service to their home. Nation is also a homeland for them, and it is the sacred duty of women to give service to the nation. And this is the reason why somewhere, I'm not saying that this is the only reason why women came out, but this is the reason we have seen the supporters in CDM by the women itself. Okay, but everything has its two sides, right? If there are positives for civil disobedience movement, among its participants, there are limitations too. There were two groups in Indian societies which never ever wanted to be the part of civil disobedience movement. See, they were Indians, they were living in India, but they were like separated from CDM. Isn't it like why it is happening? Because there is a specific reason for the same. The two groups are untouchables and Muslims. Okay, the two groups are untouchables and Muslims, and they both have a different history in Indian freedom struggle. Let us first go with untouchables, then we'll move to Muslims. Okay, question can come, what are the limitations of civil disobedience movement? You will start with the participation of untouchables and Muslim is a limitation to the same. Okay, now what happened if we talk about this untouchable? We have a history that we had 4 varnas in the society: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. Gradually the society was further divided and we got Ati Shudra, which were referred as untouchables, right? Now untouchables were never ever saw as equal position in the Indian Hindu society, right? This is the reason Congress were also ignoring the demands of untouchables, because they don't want to make the Sanatanis of India sad at that time, because they were participating in the freedom struggle also. Getting my point? So Congress ignored the untouchables demands, but when Gandhiji came to India, right? Gandhiji came to India, he said that untouchables are the part of Indian society. Okay, and we need to make our active participation to make them mix along with the Indian society, and that is the reason they call them Harijan. Okay, Gandhiji called them Harijan, basically the child of God, or the people of God. Right, and we know that the Harijans or the untouchables had a long years of struggle to gain equality in the society, right? Just because of work, this division was done, and that was unfair. This Dalits demand was presented by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. We know that he is the, what we can say, father of Indian Constitution. Right, he is a person who fought for the rights of Dalits for many years, and he is the person who brought equality in the Indian society by his policies. Right, so Dr. B.R. Ambedkar has presented the demands of Dalit in front of the civil authorities by forming an institution or association, that is Depressed Class Association, in the year 1930. Remember this, okay? Depressed Class Association in the year 1930. What was the demand of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar in the representation of this community? That reserved seats in education institute and separate electorate to be given. Now pay attention, because we are going a little back in history. Do you remember after the Irwin Pact in the year 1931, Gandhiji agreed that yes, I will attend that round table conference. That was not even round, okay? The table was not round. Yes, he accepted that we will attend the round table conference, and in that round table conference I said that the negotiations failed. Why did the negotiation fail? Because there was a clash between Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and Gandhiji in terms of ideology there. See, in this round table conference, B.R. Ambedkar presented his demand whenever the constitution is made in India and when the constitutional development is done, I want 2 things for Dalits. What is that? Reserved seats in education institutions and separate electorate. Now see, British government has given separate electorate. Now what is separate electorate? If a Muslim community candidate is fighting for election, then only the Muslim people will vote him. If a Christian is standing, only the Christian will vote him. Hindu is standing for election, fighting election, only Hindus will vote him. So basically this was the strategy of British government to divide and rule India, and they have done it in the year 1909 for Hindu and Muslims. 1990 they have moved it to more Christian, Sikh, Anglo-Indians, etc. Now here, as the demand of separate electorate was presented by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Britishers were very happy. They find it as an opportunity to divide and rule India more. Okay. However, Gandhiji didn't wanted this demand to be fulfilled. He said that, look, by separate electorate, what we are doing, we are separating untouchables more from the Indian society. Rather than separating them, we should focus on constructive constructive work. We should make society ready to mix them with the Hindu society because they are originally the part of it, right? However, in response, B.R. Ambedkar's view was that it is not possible because Indian society is very rigid and to change the perspective of Indian people will take a long time. And in that long time, only and only who will suffer, that will be the Dalits. Get the point? However, there was a tussle between Gandhiji and B.R. Ambedkar on this issue. Gandhiji in response said on fast unto death, right? He said on fast unto death that we can give reserved seats but not separate electorate. However, compromise was done between Gandhiji and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and in that compromise, there is a role of Madan Mohan Malviya ji in the year 1932. So, do remember the date of Pune Pact in the year 1932. What has been provided by this Pune Pact is that first, there will be reserved seats in education institution. Okay, there will be reserved seats in education institution. Other than that, there will be a reservation for depressed class in central elections as well as provincial elections, okay, for legislative councils also. So this was provided by Pune Pact. Get this point? This was one of the major limitations because of which untouchables were not participating in the civil disobedience movement. Moving to the next community, that is Muslims. Okay, we know that the non-cooperation movement was started by an issue that was Khilafat issue, and Muslims were actively participating in non-cooperation movement. Rather, it is said that non-cooperation movement is very good example of Hindu-Muslim unity at that time. However, what happened in the CDM? Now see, Muslims felt alienated after the decline of the Khilafat issue. We are aware when we were reading about non-cooperation movement, somewhere this Khilafat issue vanished. Okay. More about that was, it was like more sparkled by the formation of communities or groups like Hindu Mahasabha. Okay? The demands of Muslims, initially, right? Initially, let me tell you a brief background of the formation of Muslim League. Swadeshi movement was launched. Okay? By the time Swadeshi movement was launched, Britishers took it as an opportunity. What they have done, pay attention, I just want to give you a clear picture. It was Bengal. Consider this as Bengal. Now Britishers knew that it is very easy to rule India just by dividing the people. What they have done, they have seen that in this Bengal, there is a rise of nationalism. The growth of nationalism is at its peak, and Hindu and Muslims are seen as a united community over there, right? So they have done what? They divided this region of Bengal into West Bengal and East Bengal. Okay, you have studied this in class 8. The reason that was given by Britishers was that this is a large region and we are dividing it for the convenience of our administration. However, it was totally wrong. The real reason was to divide what? To divide Hindu and Muslims. However, by this divisions, Muslims were quite happy because they understood that in a vast nation where they are in minority, they will need some territorial and administrative rights. So they were happy by this thing. Because of this, now division, the plan has been successfully implemented. Muslims are very happy. In 1906, pay attention, in 1906 we have seen the formation of Muslim League, which was working other than Indian National Congress as a political party in the year 1906. Okay, now British took it as an opportunity again. In the year 1909, Muslim community was provided separate electorate. Okay, all this thing is not in the chapter, but whenever you are studying history, it is very important to connect with the dots. Okay, 1909, Muslim community was provided what? Separate electorate. Now Muslim became more happy. But after the time, they also realized the reality of Britishers, and it was in the year 1916. Okay, it was in the year 1916, a session at Lucknow held between Indian National Congress and Muslim League, where they said that we will work together, we will fight together as a freedom for our freedom struggle. And in 1919, when non-cooperation movement was launched, we have seen Indian National Congress and Muslim League fighting together here. But what happened after 1919 is that they felt that this Khilafat issue somewhere vanished by Congress in this non-cooperation movement. Non-cooperation movement was withdrawn. This also disheartened them, and more important, I want to tell you, by the Government of India Act 1919. Okay, by the Government of India Act 1919, there will be elections in legislative assemblies. Okay, there will be elections in legislative assemblies in which Indians can participate, and in that elections Muslims felt that in the vast majority nation of Hindus, it is very difficult for us to get votes. Okay, though they were having separate electorate then too. Okay, so they realized that their representation in this nation will be less in compared to Indian, which is very obvious because of the proportion of population, and the difference between both the parties widened, and we can see what happened. The demands of Muslims presented in front of Indian National Congress. First one, they wanted reserved seats in central assemblies. Okay, this is sounding to be okay. Let us see first. Reserved seats in central assemblies, and now this is a complex one, representation in terms of population in Muslim dominated area. Now see, reservation we consider because you were in minority, but now you wanted representation in terms of population in Muslim dominated area like Northwest Frontier province or Bengal region they wanted. So what if we demand for this reservation in Hindu dominated areas? Getting my point? So this demand was not accepted because an opponent of Muslim League, that was M.R. Jaikar, he belongs to Hindu Mahasabha, denied accepting this demand, and the Indian National Congress accepted this one. Okay, so this gap between Hindu Mahasabha, or we can say Muslim League, was day by day widening, and this was the reason that Muslims didn't participate in the civil disobedience movement just because of certain demands. That is the reason. Right? Now, coming toward the last topic of this chapter, I want to tell you that we started the chapter with World War I. Let us have a quick recall. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comment section, because I want that. Let us not mix up with the chapter because it is huge chapter. Okay, so we started with First World War. Important question from this topic is that what is the impact of First World War in the India's freedom struggle? Okay, then we have seen the entry of Gandhiji. Okay, entry of Gandhiji, in which Gandhiji's early Satyagraha was seen. Okay, Champaran, Kheda and Ahmedabad. Moving further, it was Rowlatt Act, and in response to Rowlatt Act, Gandhiji launched the Rowlatt Satyagraha. What was response of Indians in Rowlatt Satyagraha? What was British response in Satyagraha is very, very important. After that, we have seen Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Okay, Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Then what? It was non-cooperation movement. Okay, paying attention to each of the topic, non-cooperation movement started with Khilafat issue. Then we have to see what was the plan within non-cooperation movement, like it will be unfolded into stages, we will boycott, etc. Then what we have seen after that, different strands within the movement, how people took Swaraj here, different strands within the movement, and then the last one was withdrawn of non-cooperation movement. Okay, withdrawn of non-cooperation movement. After this, we have seen the politics, the situation of politics in India between non-cooperation and the next one, that is civil disobedience. The reason was economic hardship, and then it was Simon Commission. Then it is Simon Commission. Hope you remember each and every point. Then we moved towards civil disobedience movement, in which we have seen that Irwin presented a vague offer. Okay, Irwin presented a vague offer. Letter was sent by Gandhiji. After this, Salt March was started by Gandhiji, right? And then the movement was treated, withdrawn of CDM. Why CDM was withdrawn? Because of Irwin Pact, Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Get my point? Okay. After that, we have seen how participants saw this movement, right? And then what were the limitations to the movement who have not participated in the CDM. So basically, this is the graph what we have studied up till now. Moving to last topic, I'm very happy telling you that this is the last topic because you might be studying this chapter from a long time. I want just one thing from you, that each and every student make a note of it, right? Make a note, make good notes of it, because you want to just revise it in the last movement in few minutes, right? The chapter will take time if you are not doing it in correct manner. Sense of collective belonging. Do you remember in nationalism in Europe, we have studied one topic, right? We have studied the topic that how did the French revolutionaries, right? How did the French revolutionary raise the feeling of collective belonging among its citizens? Similarly, what is the thing in India too that raised the feeling of collective belonging, a sense of collective belonging among Indians, right? Whenever we are talking about it here, we talk about arts, we will talk about dance, we will talk about music, pictures, etc. because yes, they have a role in it, right? If today also we just go to Independence Day and hear that songs of Indian freedom struggle, some goosebumps naturally comes to us. Similarly, what was the role of collective belonging? See, figures and images have their own role. Folklores and folk songs, icons and symbols, and the very important, that is reinterpretation of history. It is reinterpretation of history. So we are starting with the first topic, that is the role of figures and images, right? Similarly, we have studied in nationalism in Europe that allegory, right? Allegory, or the female figure that represented a nation, what a feeling of unity among its citizens. Similarly, we have seen these pictures of Bharat Mata all around, right? Basically, Bharat Mata is a representation of our motherland, India, right? But now, how did this picture came into existence? Let us talk about it. Basically, the person is Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, who in his novel, Anand Mat wrote the first reference of Bharat Mata, right? He has wrote the first reference of Bharat Mata. It is the same novel from which we got Vande Mataram. Okay, it is the same novel. So basically, he was the first person to write about a female figure, that is Bharat Mata. In his novel Anandamat, the person is Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, and the same is represented, or we can say that the same picture is painted by Abanindranath Tagore. Okay, it is painted by Abanindranath Tagore. Okay, this one. See, you can see in this picture Bharat Mata as a ascetic figure. Okay, divine soul, calm, composed. The lady is calm, composed. Divine figure you can see here. Cut to, let us see another picture of Bharat Mata. Basically, this is picture of Jawaharlal Nehru taking a book in his hand, right? And in this cover of a book, there is Bharat Mata represented, and you can see this is not an ascetic figure, right? See here, the third picture is this. and in this various pictures were made. I'm talking about different forms of Bharat Mata. In this you can see Bharat Mata in which a lion is there, right, representing the strength. Getting my point? The difference is that she is representing the strength and this picture is representing the calm, composed nature of it. So these pictures has a role in it, because whenever such hoardings were made, right, when in books you see this picture, a feeling of nationalism somewhere comes within your mind. So the first role is about figures and images. Is it clear to everyone? Right. Moving towards the role of second one, that is folklores and folk songs. They are very important. Like if we talk about Vande Mataram itself, from the novel Anand Math written by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay or Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. Similarly, in Tamil Nadu, a person has a role, that is Natesha Sastry. Right? Natesha Sastry, he did what? He brought collection of folklores together and printed in a book. Right? He published volumes of book, and whenever people read that folklores, folk songs, right, particularly igniting the feeling of nationalism within themselves, yes, it brings a sense of collective belonging among them. And the role, third one is icon and symbol. See, this is the journey of Indian national flag. Yes, it has a role. Basically, this one, right, connect it, because this is very important for your exam perspective. See, this is the first map of India, and we can call it Swadeshi flag. We can call it Swadeshi flag because this flag was made during the time Swadeshi movement started in India. Okay, it was made during the time Swadeshi movement started in India, that you have studied in class 8th. Coming toward this flag, you can see 8 lotus. Can you see this? 8 lotus represented what? The 8 provinces of India. Okay, it represented the 8 provinces of India, and the sun and moon here. Okay, this sun and moon represented what? Hindu-Muslim unity. Hindu-Muslim unity here. Get the point? So yes, this was the first map, and people just flooded very proudly in India. Moving to the next one. Now this is Gandhian flag. This is Gandhian flag. Okay, when Gandhiji came to India and demanded for Swaraj, right, demanded for Swaraj, first the colors of map was swapped. Like for yellow color, now there will be a color white, and white color here represented peace. Okay, represented peace. When in non-cooperation movement we just boycotted all the foreign goods, it was natural that India will be adopting its khadi. Right, and this is the reason this charkha was added in between of this flag. Okay, charkha was added in between of this flag, and this is the third and the final flag of India, or we can say that Indian flag. We can call it Indian flag, in which charkha was replaced by Ashok Chakra. Okay, it was replaced by Ashok Chakra. So this is the journey of Indian flag, and yes, this is how icons and symbols somewhere has a very, very good role in creating sense of collective belonging among the Indians. Getting? Last but not the least, that is representation of history. Now see, we have done with figures and images, folklores, icons and symbols. The last is representation of history, reinterpretation of history. Like when Europeans came to India, they have found one limitation in India, that Indians do not have a habit of writing their history. Okay, we have various epics, we have various Upanishads, Granth, etc. Right, but we have not written or interpreted history in many languages. That is the one point. When they came India, Europeans need to rule India. Before ruling a country, they should know the history of India, right? To know the history of India, they wanted to study historical books, but all were written in Sanskrit. So they just started translating the books in English and their respective languages, and many other regional languages of India too. But meanwhile, what they have done, they have interpreted Indian history in a wrong manner. They showed the world. Whenever you will read Indian history written by any foreign author or any British author, they will just say that India was ought to be ruled. Right? They said India has a great history of being ruled by foreigners. They considered Aryans as foreigners. They considered that we were ruled by Mughals, Delhi Sultanates, and we are ought to rule. We were not a civilization anyway. So, because of this, it was higher time the wrong notion was presented to the world. This was higher time Indians should reinterpret the history, and Indian authors, Indian historians worked on it and reinterpreted the real history of India and presented how great Indian civilization was in front of the world. Very, very good success in that was in 1992 when R.D. Sharma and various other historians worked to find that Harappan civilization, which tell the world that we also had a civilization when world was not even made. Okay, so yes, this is how reinterpretation of history has a role in bringing collective identity or feeling of collective belonging. Okay. Yes, chapter is although formally ended, but I want to tell you some points. Like you can see this picture. Okay, this picture is particularly taken from movements of civil disobedience or quit India or non-cooperation. But see, when you reach to the last of the chapter, now a box is given in your book, and that box is about quit India movement. Okay, quit India movement. Students are always in doubt that, ma'am, will the question can come from this movement? Can the question come? But it is not very obvious, but if it is in the book, we should not leave it, right? Quit India movement was basically the last movement of India's freedom struggle. This was started in the year 1942 as a response to World War II and forceful participation of Indians to World War II by Britishers. Okay, so we rejected that we are not going to be the part of Second World War. We demanded that give us freedom right now. Basically, this Quit India movement, Gandhiji gave his famous slogan, that is do or die, and demanded Britishers to quit India right now. Okay, so yes, this is the last movement in the sequence. You can see how crowd came on the streets demanding government to leave India right now. And the very important part of our lecture series, always my favorite one, because I want each and every student of mine, after reading the chapter, you should practice this top 10 questions, because this top 10 questions are definitely being helpful for you. Okay, every question you can answer with the help of the lecture you just saw. Okay, question number 1, how did First World War help in the growth of national movement in India? First page of this PPT, you can get this answer. Okay, 6 points have been given there, learn them. Why Indians were outraged by First World War? So again, now the way of asking question is different, but somewhere the answers are same. Why Indians were outraged, why they were not happy? Because of the economic problems, because of forced recruitment, increasing taxes, etc. Okay, why Gandhiji decided to call off the non-cooperation movement? Because of the violence in Chauri Chaura. Okay, write in detail about it to get full marks. How did the word Swaraj was interpreted differently? Yes, here we have seen that the people in the town interpreted it differently. The people, plantation workers were different. The people living in the countryside were different. Tribals saw it differently. All those you need to divide it in points, make a point and then add your sub points. Write a newspaper report on Jallianwala Bagh massacre and Simon Commission. Compare, very important question, very important and interesting question out here. Compare the image of Bharat Mata with the image of Germania. Look how they are making your ability of analysis good by doing this. What you need to do, you need to pick the picture of Germania from the chapter 1 and Bharat Mata from chapter 2. Now, give a comparison between them. Who made them? First difference, right? When was it made? Second difference, right? What that represented heroism. and here Bharat Mata represent calm, composed, spiritual nature. So this is how you need to present the difference. Okay, it was allegory of Germany and it is the allegory of India. This is how you can make 5 simple points. If not yet done by you, write in the comment section, I'll provide the answer. Okay. How did leaders differ in the idea of separate electorate? Here you have to write the issue of Muslims and untouchables also. Sorry, majorly it is untouchable, not Muslims. The issue of untouchables. Name the social group that participated in non-cooperation movement. Explain in detail any 3 of them. Again, repetitive. Write a short note on Salt March. The civil disobedience movement, Salt March, you need to mention here. What was the economic impact of non-cooperation movement? Very, very important, because we saw that we have boycotted all the foreign goods, foreign liquor, that resulted in the decline of economy, British economy, from 102 crore to 57 crore here. Okay, so this was all about the chapter Nationalism in India, and we have successfully completed 2 major chapters of history. Right? If you know, we have many chapters, but particularly 4 chapters from history are coming in your exam. One is nationalism in Europe, the other one is nationalism in India, third is print culture, and the 4th is making of global world. We have completed nationalism in Europe, we completed nationalism in India. We are left with 2 chapters, that is print culture and the last one, that is making of global world. Yes, print culture is a vast chapter, but the last one, that is making of global world, only 1.1, 1.2 and 1.3 is coming. Okay, so for completing your history, not only history, for your SST, you just need to be the part of Diksha Vedantu. As you reach to the end of the lecture, I believe that you are enjoying it, and if you are enjoying it, do not forget to subscribe the YouTube channel. If not done yet, please do it right now, because I want to make your SST learning easy. Stay connected. Thank you.